Chapman's been around for 32, almost 33 years. It's a great company. We've built it from 10 people not all that long ago to 32 people today. We continue to grow. We're hiring people all the time. If there's one thing that I could do, like before my time is up at Chapman, it is making sure that we've built a company that will stand the test of time. And my goal as the current owner of the company, or one of the owners of the company, is to ensure that we can pass the ownership of the organization on to the next generation of people coming up the ranks today. One area of our business where we impact the local communities pretty heavily is the school systems. So we work for school systems all over the northern part of the state of New Jersey. We operate their water systems, their wastewater systems. We do a lot of their permitting and compliance work, and we ensure that the water that the kids drink is clean. We go out and do the sampling to ensure that it's not contaminated. And we also treat the wastewater that's being generated at a lot of these facilities as well before it gets discharged to the environment. So we are supporting the local community through supporting the boards of education and the local school systems.
All About Bugs Tennessee Pest and Termite Control is all about family too. Our family-owned business has successfully been in operation in Sevierville and surrounding areas for almost a decade. Especially during these times, a pest-free home is necessary for a sustainable, disease-free home or business. Our services include residential, rental, commercial, hotel, motel, cabins, you name it. Free quotes and inspections for new customers, and most of our services are contract-free. Our All About Bugs Tennessee family is devoted to delivering the best possible pest control service with a friendly smile. Contact us at 865-453-5574 today.
If it's bugging you, you should be bugging us.
As we travel ever so close to Gator territory, we have managed to stay close by to the white sandy beaches of southern Florida. Live from Homestead, Miami, is the Chapman Environmental Services Cup Series, presented by Racing Revolution. I'm your host and producer, Logan Threlkeld. Alongside me tonight, Alex Gagnon joins me in the booth. You are watching B-Speed here tonight. We welcome you to the virtual Homestead Miami Speedway for the OnCue Equipment.com 200. OnCue LLC has been proudly serving the Tri-Cities for over 30 years. We take immense pride in our long-standing customer relationships and high satisfaction rates. At OnCue, we promise personalized, honest service and advice delivered by independent industry professionals at a fraction of your current cost. That's OnCueEquipment.com. Bring up the track map here and let Alex have a go at the mic. Tell us a little bit about Homestead tonight, Alex.
Absolutely. Excited for what should be the second race of the round of 8 here tonight. Homestead, a perfect venue for a race of this caliber. 1.5 miles, high banking turns, multiple grooves that you can run on this racetrack to great effect. It is the quintessential track when it comes to 1.5 miles, and these next-gen cars really seem to take to it pretty well. And if we get anything tonight like what we saw in the NASCAR Cup Series on Sunday, I'm sure we're going to be in for a real treat. This was a phenomenal combination then, and all signs are pointing to a fantastic race here tonight. And what is our third to last race of the season?
Now we're getting really close here to the end. Race analysis now up on the screen. 133 laps here tonight, 45 mile an hour on the pit road. 5 tire sets over the wall available. 3 green-white checkers as normal. And a stage break at lap 40. There is a contingency with that stage break. on or after lap 35. If there is a caution, that will be the stage at that point if it's before lap 40. Now, Alex, let's talk about these points, man. You've been with this series all season pretty much, and you've seen just about everything so far to see how it breaks down. Tell us about where we're sitting at in the points going in these last 3 races.
Well, obviously, with last week's win, Jeremy Burns punches his ticket to Phoenix. He is the first driver, but the only driver locked into the championship 4 at this time. Couple of rough days for Rob Rader, Travis Gilbert, and Caleb Gilbert have all kind of put themselves a bit behind the 8-ball. Rader came in with such a points advantage, but courtesy of his 20th place finish last week, that advantage not nearly as strong as it was. On the other side, great days last week for Carter Linz and Grant Thorpe. Pushed them up and above the cut line coming into Homestead tonight, but that gap between in and out still only 8 points with 2 races to go. And with Martinsville being the closer here, Logan, that is the last place I would want to be relying upon to work your way in.
Absolutely. Martinsville, always a tough track, but it should be a fun one. I know that's going on this weekend, so good follow-up after the real-life race going into next week, but we are now getting into gridding here, so let's get down trackside. And Alex, you'll take us away on the start of this grid.
Absolutely. Winning the Coastal Financial Pole Award tonight, it is the 45 of Tyler Harrison. At Coastal Financial, our goal is to provide comprehensive financial planning solutions tailored to each individual's unique needs and goals with the aim of empowering our clients to make informed financial decisions and achieve their financial potential. You can find us at coastalfinancial.com or on Facebook at Coastal Financial. Thank you again for the Coastal Financial season-long Pole Award sponsor. Tyler Harrison gets that honors tonight with a 33.773. Justice Murphy to his outside in the 12, looking for a big bounce-back day tonight. Row 2, it'll be last week's winner and the points leader, Jeremy Burns in the 9, playoff driver Trevor Keith in the 15 to his outside. Row 3, Grant Thorpe in the 77, another one of these playoff drivers, and Brandon Richardson in the 8. Row 4, it will be Row 2 of James Loveland in the B-Speed machine, and Alex Forget in the 19. Rounding out our top 10 to start tonight, Travis Gilbert in the 22, Devin Hutchinson in the 4.
Bringing up behind the top 10, 11, Christian Bresnock in the 00. To his outside, Rob Rader in the 53. 13th, Dylan Picklesheimer, and 14th, Carter Linz. 15th will be Chris Nail in the 88, next to Daniel Holloway in the 16. Caleb Gilbert in the 54 will take home 17th, next to Parker Johnston in 18th position. Rounding out the top 20, Jackson McGeorge in the 98, next to Michael Bennett.
Driving out the rest of the field here as we're just about to get underway. It is Matt Robinson, Kevin Orlando Jr., Grant Turner, Christopher Schaefer, and the rest of the field as they make their way into the zone. We are racing at Homestead. Second race of the round of 8. Harrison and Murphy going to lead them into turn 1. Did not take him long to fan out 3 wide through that opening lap. Justice Murphy going to take control up at the front of the field. Harrison and Burns to the low side. Trevor Keith going to look up high as they make their way down toward the back straightaway. But you can see deeper in the field, 2, 3 wide as they run throughout the mid-pack. Great run off the top of the corner for the 15 of Trevor Keith. Going to close in to within a car length of the leader here in the turn 1. Got right up to the back bumper. Nowhere to go, though, with that momentum for the 15. Justice Murphy planted that car up high, and you'll see the 12 running the Texas A&M scheme tonight, and that is not by choice. Last week, he had a bet with Trevor Erhardt, that the loser of the LSU Texas A&M game, the person cheering for that team was going to have to put on the opposing team's paint scheme, and that is exactly what we're getting tonight with Justice Murphy. So Texas A&M machine will be donning the 12, despite the fact I'm sure it's going to kill him inside just a little bit to be leading laps here tonight, wearing the rival team colors.
You know, that's got to be one of the funniest things I've seen coming out of Racing Revolution here. I know that they're all about having a good time and making jokes over here, but that is a classic right there. I love that.
Yeah, and I'm sure also loving what they're seeing right now is the 22 of Travis Gilbert. After a rough week last week, he is rebounding in a big way, taking the lead away. They make their way onto lap 5. The 22 nose ahead at the line, but he is going to be door-to-door now with Trevor Keith for this lead spot. Everyone going to the high side behind him, though. It is an absolute train of cars up there behind the 12. You can see just how bottled up it's getting a little deeper in the field.
Yeah, they're kind of all over the place once you get to the middle of this pack here, but overall not too terribly bad back there. Everybody keeping it straight down the backstretch. You see a lot of the times a little bit of bobbling happening back there. Take a little bit of closer look here, just see. Oh, it's side by side through the middle of this field. I don't see that, going single file for a while.
Yeah, no, and that's the beauty and the curse of the next gens here at Homestead. Because you can run multiple lanes, you can kind of try out different spots and get runs against the cars in front of you. The downside is, though, when everyone's trying that, it is really hard for this field to kind of get settled in and get separated because they're constantly in a battle. Seeing a little bit of 3 wide action there. Bresnock in the middle of that group. Got a little loose off of 4. Almost found his way to the door of Dylan Picklesheimer. But they keep it clean and green as they make their way back into the opening set of corners. Travis Gilbert up at the front of the field. He has this lead now by half a second over Trevor Keith. The 22 taking care of business in the early going. And 2 by 2, basically the rest of the way through the top 10.
Take a little onboard look here with Trevor Keith in that 15 machine, sitting in second place. He's got a driver cam tonight. Bring him up. There he is, the old Chiefs fan. Sitting in second place at the moment. Third place, I apologize. Jeremy Burns to his inside there. He's going to have that run. Burns not able to slide up in front of him at the moment.
Great job from Keith to use that momentum he got from running the high side to just carry enough momentum to prevent Burns from closing off that pass for second. And now going down the front straightaway, he might be able to re-clear the 9 once again. A great battle for second between Jeremy Burns and Trevor Keith, 2 of the playoff drivers. One whose fate is sealed for the round of 4, the other very much in jeopardy, looking for a good run tonight. And then just behind him, our first non-playoff driver currently in the field. That is the 19 of Alex Forget, who had a great run going last week at Las Vegas till him and Travis Gilbert tangled coming to the stage break. Be very curious to see what happens if the 19 gets up there. We know they raced hard for the stage. Perhaps this time around they'll be a little more mellow about it, knowing how that ended for both of them last week. But that is, of course, just speculation from up here in the old V-Speed booth.
Alex Forget on board right now. See that 15 of Trevor Keith still carrying that momentum on the outside of him. Overall, being up here in the top 5, it's the place to be. It's such a short track. It's very dangerous once you get to the back of the pack. Anything can happen back there, but he's sitting in a very, very nice spot at the moment.
Yeah, the track with multiple grooves that can work, the last place you want to be is stuck in an area where everyone's at. Because it can start getting really messy. You have cars diving low, you got cars running up against the wall. There's never really a safe spot. The spotter constantly involved. But up toward the front of the field, it's a little easier to compartmentalize what you need to do. So if you're the 19 right now, don't really have to worry about too much of any kind of pressure behind you. You can just stare out ahead of you and try and reel in the 15. A couple more playoff drivers all battling just behind us as well. Rob Rader, Justice Murphy, Grant Thorpe. 5th, 6th, and 7th. Those guys all also in the playoff hunt here. Carter Lins in that picture as well back in ninth. So all the playoff 8 having a really good going here in the early few laps. Just about all of them have found their way into the top 10 as they run.
It's not looking too bad. It took them about 11 laps to start finally getting single filed out here. We're going to see a lot less of the side-by-side action unless the driver gets a nice run to get around the car in front of them. But I'd say they're going to play it safe for quite a while here. We've got a very long race. We'll see it heat up around lap 30 before that stage break comes. Get some extra points where they can. But for now, I think we're looking at some pretty well single-filed stuff for the moment.
Yeah, and to that point, I mean, now that cars are starting to spread out a little bit, becomes the point in that race where you got to start getting into your rhythm, starting to get into that flow of the race, making sure you hit your marks coming into the corner and going out of it, and making sure you keep all the tires on that car as much as possible. While you may have great short run speed, you get over too ambitious in those first 12 laps. By the time we hit lap 30 and 35, you might start falling through the field like a rocket. There's no tires left to try and hold on to that position. So this will be the point in the race where everything doesn't necessarily slow down for the drivers, but at least mentally it's less about the scramble for position in that moment and more of, all right, what do I need to do to set myself up for the long run here, as it looks to be trending closer and closer to a nice long green flag run to open up the race.
Yeah, this should be a nice green flag run, as you said there. And just keep our eye out here, see what can evolve at any given moment, especially back there towards the middle of the pack where they're still scrambling for positions around that 10th position place. Jackson McGeorge in the 98, Tyler Harrison in the 45, battling it out. Little bit of contact there with the wall. I believe that was Devin Hudgens, the 84. Nothing that's going to damage that race car just yet, though.
Yeah, you can usually get away with a couple of those light taps to the wall. It's usually when you start adding them up, that's where things become a real problem for that right rear toe link. Is a little bit more contact with the wall there. Hudgens and McGeorge nearly got into it off of turn 2. Hudgens there in the 84 up high, McGeorge on the low side in that 98 machine. We've already seen a couple of little clips of the wall there for the 84, still trying to clear the 98. This is the battle for the last spot of the top 10.
On board with Devin Hudgens here. That's one thing that I could never do, Alex, was the VR headset while driving. It never worked for me. It didn't feel quite comfortable, but he does it week after week and makes it look easy. I'm quite jealous of that.
Yeah, I always thought I could do it when I did some test sessions, and then my old roommate had a set, so I would borrow it from time to time. And then the one time I tried doing it, just in like an official, and by the end of it, I felt so motion sick. I said, "All right, never again." And I haven't picked it up since. For short stints, I think I could do it, but to do it for a full length race, the way he's going to have to do it tonight, and as he has been doing all season, truly is just some incredible stuff.
Yeah, that's all you need is one instance of getting a little bit motion sick, car sickness, however you want to look at it. That'll turn you away quite quickly.
No doubt about that. We're looking on board here, the nice little battle just outside the top 10. The pole sitter, Tyler Harrison, trying to hold off Matt Robinson and Kevin Orlando Jr. The 45 going the wrong way to start this race. Obviously, our pole sitter now outside the top 10 as we make our way through lap 19. Looks like some early trouble with the 45 on the short run speed. Sure, he's going to be hoping for that long run pace to kind of bring him back up toward the front of the field. It's a great start to the day in qualifying, but so far not as great of a start to this race.
Not looking the best for him at the moment. He's got just a face full of a starry machine there in front of him of Kevin Orlando Jr. He might be able to make his way around him at some point here. Got a couple cars on the low side, the one machine of Matt Robinson there.
As we jump on board with the 45, there's the onboard of our pole sitter, Tyler Harrison. You see just how close he was running up to the wall. I actually think he clipped it a little bit there through 3 and 4. Cost him a little bit more time. He's currently in a battle with Caleb Gilbert, the only playoff driver currently outside the top 10. That 54 machine trying to work his way to the front, running in the 15th spot right now. Right now giving up a lot of points the rest of that round of 8 field.
It could be a little bit of a mixture of trying to do some tire saving, but he's not been too aggressive, but he's been running that high side through 3 and 4 multiple laps now, and you heard him clip the wall that last time by, move down to the low lane this time by. But that high side will just chew up the tires here at Homestead, so it's a risky maneuver, but it can pay off.
And that's the debate you have to ask yourself, especially when you start getting into a longer run like this. You know, how much is that speed needed in the early going versus how much tire do you burn off the car running up there lap after lap versus trying to go low onto the bottom? That's that strategy that people talk about. Is it looks like if we had a driver just peel off down pit road, either that or they got really loose off of turn 4. Not entirely sure which, but yes, it does appear that the 77 at Grant Thorpe going to peel down pit road here on lap 23, an early stop for the 77.
It could be looking for the undercut on the stage break, maybe try to gain some positions afterwards, or maybe the fuel load in these cars just isn't quite going to make it to that lap 40. Very hard to say, but we'll see what his strategy turns out here in about 15 to 20 laps, see how it plays out for him.
Yeah, he's going to try to get a little off cycle here with the rest of the field. Looks like there's been a couple other takers for pit road as well. Appears to be Christian Bresnock, another guy who came down pit road earlier. So maybe there is going to be a bit of a pit cycle here before the stage break. And if that's going to be the case, this could work out really well for the 77, using that undercut, getting fresh tires on, and then not giving the other side a ton of, or the folks who pit later, not giving them a ton of time to react before that stage break, because the stage is only about 15 laps away next time by. So it is not a ton of time if they wait too much longer.
Little bit of a battle back here with Brandon Richardson, Alex Forget in the picture, Devin Hudgens up there in the front of this pack. Got the Starry Machine, the 27, Kevin Orlando Jr. there as well, and Caleb Gilbert just a little bit further behind.
And Caleb Gilbert trying to rebound after a tough 24th from last week. Finds himself below the cut line, trying to get back into the mix. But as we're watching this battle here, Richardson, Orlando Jr. Forget, the 8 car has had some really good pace in the early going of this race. Qualified well, qualified inside the top 10. Currently running inside the top 5. And granted, there's been a little bit of pit cycle attrition, but not a ton. He's just had some really good pace since the drop of the green flag today. And it's part of the reason he's in this battle right now with Forget and Orlando Jr.
See a little bit of action back here for the time being. Might start seeing some of these pit cycled cars coming up through the track at any given moment once they start getting those heat cycle into the tires. See how they're going to be able to navigate through this field that stayed out on the surface already.
And this will be an interesting test to see just how much faster fresh tires will be. But also, if you're someone right now like Grant Thorpe or Trevor Keith, there is not a whole lot of room to get on by right now with this battle with Richardson and Orlando Jr. just in front of you. You can't really even make the most of those fresh tires until you can find your way through traffic. And Rob Rader looks to maybe make it 3 wide here between Thorpe and Keith. Now 4 wide with Richardson up top. Look at that. Everyone trying to thread the needle. The 53 got a little bit loose, but somehow they got through that unscathed.
That was some driving right there. That is just handling the car, and that's a classic moment of you driving the car and not letting the car drive you, as we see every great once in a while.
Now a battle here between Trevor Keith, Rob Rader, 2 of the playoff cars who have already come down pit road. On track, they run 13th. When this provisional, or when the pit cycle comes out, they are going to be a lot closer to the front of the field, as most of the cars in front of them haven't pit. As Grant Thorpe sideways on the backstretch. The 77 got super loose for a second. caught it. Gonna keep battling here with Erhardt, but something happened to Grant Thorpe that caused him to go nearly into that inside wall.
Just a tad bit of contact there. We'll see if we can get a good look at the back end of that 77, but I mean, everything looks to be in order. The back end of that car, I don't know what happened to it. Just a little bit too soon into the throttle, but man, that was a big slide there for Grant Thorpe. Fantastic
Yeah, no.
job to keep that one straight.
Yeah, no, unbelievable job. And he was one of the first cars to really kick off that pit cycle. So now those tires that he just put on, maybe a little bit hot. You see a little over-under move here potentially from Trevor Keith. Going to take a look to the inside. Justice Murphy going to join him as well. 3 playoff cars now under a blanket between the 15, 53, and the 12. Keith has him temporarily clear. Going to slide up in front of Raider. Not a whole lot of room to make it work, but he found a way to do so. And now Justice Murphy going to look to the inside as Raider dove to the apron. That nearly ended in a collision. 3 wide between our 3 playoff drivers in 3 and 4.
Dangerous situations unfolding back here, trying to work their way back through the field, respectively 14th, 15th, and 16th position right now after they came down and grabbed some fresh tires and fuel. But, man, that is little hairy back there.
And it's not done yet. Murphy and Raider still going at it. James Loveland getting into the picture as well. We're starting to see a better sense of where these guys are going to cycle out. Travis Gilbert, if everyone comes down pit road, would inherit the lead here. He's currently running 9th, so this battle just behind it is for about provisional P4, P5-ish in the stage, and those stage points are going to be really crucial to those playoff guys, especially those who did not have a great week last week. So all the more reason to be fighting tooth and nail for these positions here as the stage is coming up in just about 6 or 7 laps. Carter Lynn's in on the action as well. I mean, just look at the battle here. We got 6 cars all fighting for position. For Jet, big time into the wall through 3 and 4. Going to first Trevor Keith down, and they're running 3x3 down the front straightaway.
And look at all the damage on the front end of that Chapman Environmental Services 53 car. Rob Raider, your pilot there. A lot of damage on the front right. That might have been the contact with the 77 that we saw a little bit while ago.
Oh, could be. That would have been loosely where they were running at the time. I like that theory. Either way, regardless of what happened to the 53, a little bit of damage, maybe not handling quite the way he'd like it to in this moment. And now he trails both Trevor Keith and Justice Murphy. Meanwhile, you can see just behind him on that shot down the front straightaway, Grant Thorpe slowly working his way back onto the scene, getting back into that mix with the playoff drivers. You know he's going to be looking for a few playoff points here as well to build off that top 5 from last week.
Absolutely.
Currently running a little deeper in the field, but, an opportunity here. Currently in 6th, but the more stage points just up ahead of him if he can reel in Rob Raider and the company just ahead.
Got an interesting one up here at the front at the moment. Travis Gilbert in the 22 with almost a 4-second lead to second place. I'm wondering if he'll have enough to make it to the stage, or if he's hoping for that caution flag to come out. Now that we're at lap 35, that would be the stage break if a caution comes out now.
Yeah, that 22 has been wicked fast all evening long. Had opened up a couple seconds on Burns before the pit cycle and clearly executed that pit stop pretty well as he found a way to open up even more time to the 9. So everything clicking right now for the Racing for Freedom driver, 22 of Travis Gilbert. Playoff drivers, if I'm looking correctly, run through the top 6 spots, also scored in 10th as well as 15th. There's the onboard with the mountain man, Jeremy Burns. Last week's winner and many-time winner this season. Currently, though, and maybe a bit of an unfamiliar position, trying to track down another driver here and has quite a few seconds separating him in the lead.
That's what I wanted to take a look at here, was just how big that gap looks from the roof of this 9 machine of Jeremy Burns. Just to get an idea as to where we're sitting at the moment for him, but Now, again, I'm not positive that the 22 can make it to the stage at lap 40.
It was a wicked fast pit stop, that's for sure. That has helped extend that lead. About 3 laps to go, maybe say 2.5 in a second here, till the stage break. I believe they call it at the tail end of lap 40, to my understanding.
I believe it is.
We look a little deeper in the field. Here's this battle here. Trevor Keith, Rob Rader. The action refuses to be done between these two.
Absolutely not. As we near this lap 40 stage break, that's an all-out battle. Especially having Trevor Keith, Justice Murphy, Rob Rader all up in here for the points. It's crunch time. Only 3 races left, including this one, so it is all about getting as many points as possible.
Yeah, and this battle between the 15 and the 53 has opened the door just a little bit for Grant Thorpe to appear as well. He is now very much within the ability to draft a little bit of these two guys, and as they run side by side, that is only going to help the 77 try and make this a 3-car battle. As you see, he runs that lower lane. Trevor Keith all the way up to the wall. Rader to his inside takes that spot back from Trevor Keith. But now Grant Thorpe right on the bumper of the 15. Last lap of the stage. All these points up for grab, and for the playoff drivers, all the more critical to try and take them.
And I am just surprised by how well the 77 machine recovered after that big slide. He fell back about 5-6 positions there, gained them all back before this stage break. Big
slide from Rader. He's in the wall. He's going to lose out on 2, maybe 3 spots. Still waiting to see when that caution flies. There it is. The stage break is out. And boy, that extra 400 feet or so really cost the 53 as he hammered that wall off of turn 4.
That was very unfortunate to see there for the 53 or Raider, but still up here, big 7th in the stage. Still going to get a decent amount of points, not as many as he would like, especially having Justice Murphy up there in 3rd, Trevor Keith in 4th, Grant Thorpe in 5th. Of course, Travis Gilbert, he does take the stage win. That'll be a good bump for him after that 25th position finish last week at Las Vegas.
Yeah, this is exactly what the doctor ordered for Travis Gilbert. Coming off a less than stellar week last week, crashing out a bit early, comes back, wins the stage here, and I'll say in rather dominating fashion. It was 4 seconds clear of Burns at the time they threw the caution, so really good job from the 22, and he's going to lead the field back down pit road here.
Should see the entire field follow suit. Every single car on the racing surface coming down pit road now. I take that back. There is one flying underneath the camera.
I do believe it might be one of the only cars not actively on the lead lap, because, I mean, I can't imagine how many other cars are left here who need the pit. So we'll see who wins this race off of pit road. This track position is going to be critical. Looks like Travis Gilbert's going to get out ahead. Burns, Murphy, Keith, Thorpe, your top 5. So I don't believe any changes in the top 5. How they entered to how they exited. Good execution from the teams down on pit road to at least maintain their track position through that top 5 or even the top 7. I think Loveland and Rader were the next 2. So nothing gained, nothing lost in that top group, which is only going to benefit the 22 with Travis Gilbert. We'll have that clean air to work with once again whenever we go green in just a few moments.
I'll be interested to see just where these drivers choose whenever they come around to the choose cone. They're going to take that bottom line or the top line on this start. Seen a mixture of both all race already. A little bit of a connection issue there for the 22 of Gilbert. Hopefully that smooths itself out before we get green flag racing once more.
Yeah, the most important thing I think for him right now is to try and find a way to get that smoothed out. I know for a fact, Race and Rev, one of their rules, you got to make sure they have a stable connection. If not, they might ask you to go to the tail end of the field to prevent you from jeopardizing your own or anybody else's races. So hopefully for the 22 here, things settle in. So you've watched about 40 odd some laps so far, Logan. What is your initial takeaway here from the opening stage?
Opening stage really just showcases the ability of these playoff drivers, and they certainly did just that, with the majority of them finishing in the top 10 here. Exception of, I believe, Carter Lynn's back there in 12th at the moment. Grant Thorpe, he's up there in 5th. Trevor Keith in 4th. Jeremy Burns, of course, in 2nd. Justice Murphy in 3rd. Rob Rader, 7th. Caleb Gilbert is back there in 14th, so he's a little bit out of the picture at the moment. And then, of course, Travis Gilbert leading the pack. Like Gilbert gonna take that low line. Oh, fakes him out.
A little switcheroo right at the last second. I think the field was still trying to scramble and recover from that. Everyone was making a late commit to the pylon there. So it'll be Travis Gilbert who elects to take the outside. Jeremy Burns going to stay on the front row down low. Murphy goes high. Keith goes low. Going to be interesting to see what happens on this restart. We know the high side is the place to be for that speed in the early going. We also know it definitely a bit more aggressive on your tires. So while the 22 is there for now, how long does he stick around there before he tries dropping down toward the bottom? All these questions and more to be answered in just a moment here, because the lights are off on the pace car. Means this time by, we'll be racing to kick off the second and final stage of tonight's race from Homestead. The on-cue 200, the third to last race of the season. I was going to say penultimate, but that's second to last. I don't know what the word is for the third to last of something, but whatever it might be. We're definitely getting near the end of this season. It's been a great one so far. 30 races already down, and only just a handful to go as this green flag is back in the air, and we are racing once again at Homestead.
Travis Gilbert still having a little bit of a connection issue. Doesn't seem to be too terrible. It's pretty quick, but we might see him get asked to move off the race surface if it continues.
The one thing I think honestly is working in his favor right now is the fact that he is the leader. Because, when you are leading, there's not a whole lot of people around you to potentially be bothered by that fact. So maybe the speed is the best thing happening right now for the 22. You see a battle for second door to door. That was Burns and Murphy. Then Loveland going to run up high, trying to take away that fourth spot from Rader. Oh, big move from the 53. Flies up to the outside wall, cuts off the 0-2.
Yeah, he was
now he's going to look to the outside of Murphy.
Saw that gap and he took it.
Loveland, though, to his credit, looked to go right back to the inside, and 3 and 4 are going to stay to the inside of the 53 as they dive back into turn 1. The V-Speed machine on the inside. The Chapman Environmental Services on the outside. Loveland just barely missed the playoffs this year. You know he would love to try and play spoiler here tonight and pick up a win when all these playoff drivers are trying to find that magic ticket to lock themselves into the championship four.
Yeah, at this point, just bragging rights for Loveland, but at the same time, there's nothing wrong with bragging rights.
Yeah, no, they're some would even say they're quite a fun thing to have. It's a little bit of bragging rights over the rest of the field, especially when they're all running for a championship and you get to say, well, got to beat all of you tonight. Loveland makes that pass not only on Rader but also Justice Murphy. So the 0-2 now moves up into third place. Got a whole host of playoff drivers behind him. The 4 cars trailing the 0-2, all in that round of 8 picture, as are the 2 cars in front of him. So it is very much a playoff field plus the 0-2 situation right now through the top 7.
I still hear quite a few cars scraping that outside wall going through turns 3 and 4. Last time by, Alex Forget in that 19 machine caught the wall a little bit. If he gets close to it again, as he does, but keeps it off the wall that time. Gotta save that paint
Just about.
job.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice looking ride. There's a lot of nice looking paint schemes out here in the field. You know, every so often when you try and run up high, there is always the danger. You just clip that outside wall, and the one thing you got to avoid is that vacuum effect that can sometimes happen in iRacing, where you get a piece of the wall and you just kind of get glued to it for a second. It's the last thing you want, because that could do quite a bit of damage to your car, and that's always the danger running up high, but it is definitely faster up there. As that is the challenge these drivers are trying to balance at the moment. But kind of similar to the opening bit of this race, you know, about 8-9 laps go by and the field starts to spread out just a little bit, at least down the front straightaways. They still fan out in the corner, as we're seeing there with Thorpe and Forget. But now down straightaways here, everything kind of getting nose to tail as Kyle Diaz looks to take a step out here and try and clear Caleb Gilbert.
Kyle Diaz repping the Fruity Pebble machine. I love that paint job.
Yeah, it is certainly bright. We got two of the most iconic schemes, I think, out there, just as far as recognizable out on track, running nose to tail. And that is Kevin Orlando Jr.'s Starry car, and then the Fruity Pebbles machine for Kyle Diaz. Both cars we've seen a whole lot of this season, and a decent bit of success too. Both of them, you know, looking for a return trip to victory lane here, but you know, they've run up toward the front. Diaz, especially as of late, has been very much a factor inside the top 10, top 5 of the field. Now, a little bit of an off day so far, currently battling for the 13th position with Caleb Gilbert. And for the 54, you got to imagine he was hoping this day would have been going a little bit differently. It's just not really had the pace tonight to break into the top 10 in a situation where he could really use the points.
Yeah, it's still a long race to go yet. We've got 80 laps left. It has plenty of time to make a resurgence at any given moment. I think it's just going to boil down to being a waiting game. Make sure that you don't get caught up in that inevitable big one. While we have a moment, I think it'd be a good time to take a look from a driver further back in the pack here, see just how it looks, all the chaos ahead of you. That's going to be, take a look at Grant Turner here. Get him, get on the roof of this machine. All those strobing lights in the background. Don't know how that's not a distraction, but he does it week after week.
That is always, yeah, I'll say that's what Morgan and I would talk about week after week. We look at the driver cam, we just go, man, it looks really cool. I don't know how you can do that and not have that be a distraction. Because I would immediately, it'd be like ADHD, like just see a squirrel, like, oh, just see the lights go by, and you're like, what is that? But we're on board here with the 39, and to the point you made a second ago, Logan, I mean, you can really get a gauge, not only of how chaotic it is directly around the 39 in this spot, but you see the corner, and you just see everyone pick a different spot of the track to run, which can be a little bit intimidating when you're trying to work your way up through the field, knowing at any given moment the field is going to fan out from single file to 2, 3, 4 wide.
Absolutely, and we saw there, you know, all 3 lanes being used simultaneously, going through 3 and 4. Multiple cars on the bottom. We had one in the middle, a couple on the top. It's all over the place here tonight.
Little battle developing here. Matt Robinson battling with Caleb Gilbert. Matt Robinson had a great run last week at Las Vegas. Trying to follow that up with a good run here, kind of in this battle with Diaz and Gilbert. So he had to get way down in the way, coming off of turn 4. Lost some track position to both of Gilbert and Diaz. They'll fall back to the 15th position. They'll give the 54 another spot as he tries to work his way toward the front. Meanwhile, Forget, Trevor Keith, this is a duel that's going on for 7th. Make it 6 as it's got to be 3 wide. Grant Thorpe in on the scene as well.
Grant Thorpe taking that high line. Trevor Keith stuck in the middle. Alex Forget able to stick it on the low side. Keith falling in behind Grant Thorpe. Forget not going to let go of that left rear of Trevor Keith. Sticks to the low line once more. Will he have the momentum to get around Keith and maybe pull off the slide job? He does not.
Still to the inside, now going to file in behind the 15. Single file that time into the corner.
Hey, what? There's a driver we haven't talked a whole lot about so far, finally working his way up into the top 10. Trevor Erhardt in that 41 machine. Started
Absolutely.
out 25th tonight. Quite a few spots gained for him. 16 at the moment. Biggest gainer on the field.
And to that point, he might be picking up a couple more here in just a moment. He was dangerously close to passing the 19. But now here goes Carter Lins to the inside of Erhardt, trying to find his way on by the 41. Trevor Erhardt, of course, the winner of the bet with Justice Murphy last week in that Texas A&M LSU deal. So he does not have to rock the LSU colors tonight, courtesy of Texas A&M's 38-23 victory from a week ago. Got to imagine he's pretty pleased about that, as he is currently in the 10th spot, trying to hold off Kevin Orlando Jr., who's looking to the inside here, trying to break into the top 10.
Through 3 and 4 there, we saw Erhardt get a little loose, lost that position to Carter Lins, almost slid up in front of the 27 of Kevin Orlando Jr. Out got turned, and almost there he goes.
Ooh.
Got a little
all
bit
the
of
way
contact.
Down below the apron.
Great save by the 41, though.
Phenomenal save. I mean, I'm honestly shocked that thing didn't end up in the wall. He was almost sideways coming off the corner. Did a great job corralling that car and getting it collected before it got down toward the wall. They'll lose a couple spots of track position, but that certainly beats the alternative of what could have happened in that situation.
Absolutely. Back up here towards the front. Travis Gilbert still in the lead. The commanding position at the moment, almost 3/4 of a second ahead of Jeremy Burns. He has got the pace tonight. He said, I am not finishing 25th again. I'm taking home the win. I'm going to lock myself into Phoenix tonight.
And he has got a really good chance of doing just that. It looks to be that Burns might be the only car with some semblance of pace to match him at the moment. He is the only car within 2 seconds. Rob Rader and Loveland also back there in 3rd and 4th, both 2 seconds adrift of the leader. They're battling with each other. Probably has not helped the situation at all. And despite the fact that the 9 and the 53 have the majority of the wins this season, the 22 of Travis Gilbert has shown some phenomenal pace throughout the season. It's just sometimes things don't fall his way at the end of these events. Right now, things looking mighty good for the 22 as we're watching this battle between Rob Rader and Loveland. Battle for 3rd. The 53 a little loose off the corner, trying to hold off the highest running non-playoff driver.
Trying to see if I've missed anybody on the driver cams. We'll get them a spotlight here. Oh, there's one I see. He's a little bit further back in the pack. Michael Bennett has not been on the camera tonight. We'll put him in and take a look at what he sees. Currently sitting 22nd. Lost 2 spots so far. But again, plenty of time to make that recovery.
Whoa, Grant Turner a little sideways. Tell you what, that is probably one of the more terrifying sights you can have as a driver. When you're in the middle of the corner and you can see someone in front of you starting to lose control of the car and you just go, okay, please, whatever you do, don't slide directly where I'm about to go.
Yeah, that is always terrifying, especially at these 1.5-mile tracks. It's so easy to do. See if Turner can keep it on that low line, 3 and 4. Little sideways there. He's going to lose his speed and hit the apron. Bennett able to get around the 39. Parker Johnson right in front of him. Also clear of Grant Turner.
It gets right up to the back bumper of the 48 as they make their way through 1 and 2. Homestead, one of those tracks, no matter where you are on track, there's a good battle to find as we leave that one to come to this battle here between Kyle Diaz and Carter Lins. This is the battle for 10th. Caleb Gilbert right there as well. Linz and Caleb Gilbert, the two lowest running playoff drivers, I believe, at the moment. And they are currently running 10th and 11th. Linz up on the high side. Here comes Caleb Gilbert to the low side, trying to break his way into the top 10 for the first time tonight.
Gilbert had the position there for a split second, but that outside line just carries so much momentum here. They keep it off the wall. They get that positioning back, but now is his opportunity. If he can pull off the slide job, get up in front of Carter Linz, he does. He will solidify himself in the top 10 for the moment coming across that start-finish line.
Yeah, that's the first time he's been able to say that tonight, as we're about a lap away from lap 70. We're a little over the halfway point for this race. So a slow but steady working their way to the front here for Caleb Gilbert. Carter Linz trying to get that spot away as well, trying to keep his hot streak going here through this postseason. And as this race develops, we're continuing to see these playoff drivers work their way closer and closer to each other up at the front of the field, as you now see Forget about to put Trevor Keith 3 wide with Orlando Jr. up high. The 19 going to dive to the apron. Trevor Keith not giving him a whole lot of room, but Forget didn't need it. He's going to slide up in front of the 15, and I thought about going all the way up to the wall, but not the room there. He'll settle in behind the 27.
Back up a little bit further here, Justice Murphy, James Loveland, Rob Rader, all still battling for that third, fourth, and fifth position here. This is a grouping right here. I do not foresee them ever splitting up. I feel like week after week, all three of these drivers up here contending for a top 10 spot at the minimum.
Yeah, and you also get Grant Thorpe just behind him, who's also definitely a part of that conversation. You see Murphy getting down toward the apron here, trying to find his way around Loveland. Drifts up to that middle lane. The 0-2 going to go all the way up to the wall. Going to use that momentum to carry him down the front straightaway. Keeps him ahead of Murphy for the moment. Great battle going on here, second, third, and fourth. Most notably, Jeremy Burns, not in this group anymore. He was the car running second. I believe he may have hit pit road already.
He did indeed hit pit road. He is coming out right about now, trying to pick up some speed. He is the freshest tires on the field. Grant Turner came in 2 laps before him. So it is about time to start seeing that pit cycle coming through. See these tires about 30 laps old at the moment.
This is the situation where if you come down pit road right about now, you'd only have to stop about one more time before the end of this. As you see Murphy clip the wall there in 1 and 2. They're getting about 30, 35 laps a stint. Only have to stop one more time, I believe.
I think Murphy is trying to get that Texas A&M sticker off the right side of that 12 machine. I don't think he's too happy about that.
Innovative approach here to protest having to run it tonight is just scrape it off along that right side wall. Not a bad idea. Maybe for the inside components of the car, but at least for the outside. Honestly, stellar idea and a really innovative one at that for the 12. But those guys going to peel off down pit road, leaving Caleb Gilbert more or less alone on track, yet to come down pit road. It's been him and the 0-2 from that initial group in the top 5 who have yet to come down pit road. Got to imagine, though, they're thinking about it any lap here.
The 27 there, Kevin Orlando Jr. also has yet to come down, as we see Travis Gilbert finally making his way down through pit road. So we will have new leader here. That will be Kevin Orlando Jr. Just mentioning him. He decides to stay out one more lap. He'll claim a lead lap. Up 21 positions, started out in 22nd today. Kyle Diaz not too far behind him, up 23. Sitting in that third position at the moment. You see that 53 of Rob Rader, almost a lap down, but he's got those fresh tires. He should be able to drive away. Lando sideways. Forget to his outside, and they're in the wall. Gave him no room.
Oh, and Trevor Keith got caught up in that as well.
Almost
Orlando Jr. trying to get it. Yeah, what a mess coming down pit road.
Man, just gave no room to the 19 and paid for it. I understand the strategy behind it, but Man, that was a unfortunate sequence of events. Luckily, not a whole lot of damage on the front end of the 27, but we're seeing just about all these drivers coming down pit road now. Kyle Diaz, Matt Robinson, Christian Bresnok coming in. See him slow through 3 and 4.
Whoa, he almost looped it as well. Just tucked it in inside the cone.
Daniel Holloway behind him. Christopher Schaefer coming through 3 and 4. He will be the last car on the track, and he will stay out. One more time around for Christopher Schaefer. Does not get the lead lap that time by.
Taking a second to revisit that incident on pit road with Alex Fourgette and Kevin Orlando. You can see where both sides were coming from, which was, well, I don't want to be the one to lift. Certainly the other guy will be the one to lift. And when neither of them did, that is how we ended up with the incident that happened out on the entrance pit road. The 19 still on pit road.
Yeah, and very, very upset. We'll put him up here. Very
Oh, wow.
unhappy with how that unfolded. Much more damage than assumed, and obviously good reason to be upset, but man, what a series of events there. Christopher Schaefer assumes the lead. Does get that lap led. We'll see if he'll bring it down this time by. Does not appear to be slowing down whatsoever through 3 and 4. Gonna keep going. 35 laps on those tires.
Yeah, but I think he's just going to let this thing ride. The hope for a yellow flag. If not, he'll let it go until he loses the lead and then probably come down pit road.
I mentioned
So
that
Burns?
lead. That's Burns right behind him. Closing that gap rapidly. 1 second.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's been a good job on the pit road cycle here for the 9. He actually jumped the 22 of Travis Gilbert by about a second on several now older tires, but he came down pit road several laps sooner than the 22, which has given him that track position. Now Schaefer peels off down pit road, which means as they run, starting lap 80 of this 130-some lap race, Jeremy Burns leads by about 3/4 of a second over Travis Gilbert, but I tell you what, that 22 is starting to reel in the 9.
Lot going on all over the place. Looking at the driver cams, Alex Fourgette has stepped away from the rig. Do not know if we will see him back on the track tonight.
Back-to-back weeks with a rather heartbreaking exit for the 19. Last week, tangled up, battling for the stage win at Vegas this week, and the pit cycle battle with the 27er Kevin Orlando Jr. And looks like he'll be race ending on both occasions. Been a really tough stretch of luck here for the 19.
Not how you want the season ending to go within the last 3 races. It happens. You know, it's racing, but avoidable situations most of the time. So it's sad to see, but surely he'll be looking forward to next week. Try to recoup something to end out this season on a good note.
Yeah. Or, you know, if nothing else, start planning ahead for the season to follow. Either way, new opportunities next week at Martinsville as we're on board here with the 9, and Jeremy Burns has got some company. Travis Gilbert, a car length behind him as they make their way off of turn 4.
Gilbert
Just
has
about
shown
50
that
laps to
speed.
go.
Gilbert's shown that speed all night as he takes a peek to the inside. He'll get the position for the moment. He does make it around. He's got room to slide up, and he does. He clears the 9 of Jeremy Burns. Burns giving him a little bit of a shove there. Saw the 22 try to make that block on the low side. Contact through 3
More
and 4.
Doran.
Little sideways
baby.
for Burns, but he handles it. Slots back in behind the 22 of Gilbert.
Burns settling in on the apron. Travis Gilbert going to go up high. Gilbert took the lead away from the 9 once again. Burns tried going back to the inside. Gilbert blocked. The 9 gave him a shot. Couple of door bangs between the two through the corner. Got ourselves quite the battle for the lead here, but I mean, as the race has shown to this point, I think the 22 just has a little bit more pace tonight, especially in clean air, and he is starting to pull away just a bit from Jeremy Burns.
Yeah, that 22 is on a mission after last week. He is not going to let this go. He wants this win badly.
And for someone who came into tonight 14 points below the cut line, this win and in situation could be exactly what he needs to find his way to the Homestead.
Absolutely.
Currently 3/10 clear of the 9, the only driver locked in to the championship 4.
Yeah, that 9 of Jeremy Burns locking himself in last week. It'd be smart for him to race this till the end, collect as many points as possible. A win is not necessary. He has a fairly decent lead. We get another caution out. We'll pull that points graphic back up on the screen and take a look at it. Cycle back through some of this field here. Tyler Harrison looking to make a move any given moment. Parker Johnson in front of him about 0.3 of a second.
Might be a prime opportunity to do a very quick through your field. If that's something that interests you, Logan, we can do a quick rundown at least through like the top 10 as they run.
Certainly, we can do that.
Alrighty, so obviously as we were seeing up at the front of the field, it is Travis Gilbert, qualified 9th, up to the lead and has been the dominant car today. Currently leads over the 9 of Jeremy Burns, running in the 2nd spot. Just behind him, about the only other car who's had some semblance of pace to match him. Trevor Keith, currently a lap down, or actually 2 laps down, due to that incident on pit road with Orlando Jr. and Forget. There is Rob Rader, the car in 3rd place at the moment, up to 12th. Been a good day so far for the 53. Back there to Grant Thorpe, had a top 5 last week, in position to potentially go 2 in a row in the round of 8 for top 5, to be exactly what he needs to try and open up that points gap to Trevor Keith. Back in the 5th spot, it is Justice Murphy, who needs a good rebound from last week, doing just that with the current P5 run. Then we get to our first non-playoff driver running inside the top 10 with James Loveland in the 02, the V-Speed machine, having a good day out there. Then we've got Linz and Gilbert in a good scrap for 7th. Those guys side by side, couple of playoff drivers who have been glued to each other since the stage restart and have slowly worked their way through the field, now currently running P7 and P8. That is Caleb Gilbert and Carter Linz. Trevor Erhardt, who we talked about briefly earlier, had that big save a few laps ago, currently running in the 9th position with Kyle Diaz and the Fruity Pebbles machine, rounding out the top 10 as they run.
Look back up here towards Loveland and Murphy. Closest battle on the field right now, besides Linz and Gilbert. Battling back there lap after lap for respectively 7th place. This field is definitely spread out here since that stage break. We see them all over the track. It's not a whole lot of action at the moment. Nothing too terribly close. Parker Johnson's caught up to Tyler Harrison back here as Harrison gets into the wall, allowing Johnston to get around the 45. Michael Bennett back there with Kevin Orlando Jr.
Up toward the wall there, the 45, Tyler Harrison. It has not been a particularly kind race to the pole sitter. Had great short run speed. It just has not seemed to carry over to these long green flag runs that we've had tonight. Currently running in the 16th spot. And trying to track down Parker Johnson, who got real loose off a turn 4, and he might be able to reel him in right here.
This would be the opportunity. That wall contact for Harrison a few laps ago gave away the spot. Just as easily could regain it. Johnston keeps getting loose out of these corners, but man, Harrison just flirting on the edge of danger with that safer barrier.
Closes up to within a car length of the 48. This is the battle for 15th. Parker Johnson, that purple and white 48, Tyler Harrison, the black and pink 45, directly onto the back bumper now is Harrison. Where does he go to make his move? He's going to look to the high side here in 1 and 2. Johnston goes down to that middle lane. What kind of momentum will Harrison carry here? Big time slide for the 48. We'll give the spot to Harrison. And the point you made just a second ago, Logan, all it would take is another slide like we saw a few laps ago, and that's exactly what happened. The 48 of Parker Johnston.
Johnston gets into the wall there as well, but take a look a couple spots ahead. Chris Nail able to get around Devin Hudgens down there on the low side for the moment. He'll carry that momentum out of the corner. Hudgens slides up in front of him, keeps the position. Nail looks to maybe go to that middle lane, chooses stay high. Brandon Richardson right there behind him as well, closing in that gap. Trevor Keith down there in that 15 machine, very damaged front right of that race car. Not looking great for him after that incident on pit road.
And he finds himself in a really precarious spot here. He came tonight 8 points below the cut line, and he is not in a free pass position should the caution come out. Right now, that would go to Grant Turner in the 39. Trevor Keith actually scored 2 laps down. So as time continues to wind away here, not going to be a great day for Trevor Keith. He's currently scored 22nd, and it is very much trending to a potential must-win situation at Martinsville for the 15 if he's going to contend for a championship this season.
That was quite the ordeal last week. Keith finishing in 17th. Definitely didn't help out his round of 4 hopes in that championship race. But again, like you said, it's boiling down to being a must-win situation for the driver of the 15 next week.
We're seeing here, Rob Rader has cleared Jeremy Burns for second place. The 9 falling back just a hair, the 53 on, I would say about full attack mode here. He is about 3.2 seconds, 3.3 seconds off of Travis Gilbert, but there was a point just a few laps ago that was a little closer to 4 seconds, so he is seemingly closing in a little bit on the leader. But, I mean, for Travis Gilbert, this is a situation where you're just praying for this to go green the rest of the way like it has to this point. I mean, it has just been a textbook day so far for the 22.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a massive lead to have here. And take a look from the back end of this race car, and there you see Rob Rader through the middle of 3 and 4. Almost an entire front stretch difference between first and second place. Travis Gilbert essentially could put it in cruise control.
Yeah, and this is one of those things. It's kind of a situation when you open up a lead of this size. Oh, gee, did we jinx the ever-loving out of that? Caution is out on the racetrack. Trevor Erhardt sideways on the front straightaway. I'll take full blame for the commentator's curse there, saying that Travis Gilbert wanted this thing to go green the rest of the way. Didn't even take another lap.
Take a look back here on the V-Speed replay. Erhardt just loose out of 4, spins it around in front of Hudgens. That is enough. He kept it off the wall, no damage on the 41. That is completely going to flip this race on its head. And just...
yeah, it really is.
Goodness.
And, I mean, honestly, good job for the 41 as well to lock that thing down, preventing it from rolling back up toward the racing line. He did a good job keeping it down and away, so he wasn't in the way of anyone trying to get on by. But this certainly changed the complexion of this race. A big break, I would say, for Grant Turner, but he actually just got lapped a second time by the 22 just before the caution. So he'll get one of those 2 laps back. But it won't be enough. But the caution comes out as a perfect time here for the field to make this the money stop, both to make it to the end of the race.
Alex, as they come out of the pits, we'll throw that points graphic up on the screen, take a look at that, and kind of just touch base with what we're looking at going into the last race with where the drivers are currently sitting. Obviously, that could change at any given moment, but give us a good idea as to what we might be looking at as to who's going to be the hardest driving driver next week. But man, this is
Oh, a fast stop for the 53. He's going to get out in front of the 22. So is the 9. They're both going to get out ahead of Travis Gilbert. Oh, does this change things a little bit?
oddly enough not a whole lot of time difference in the box. It all came down to the pit lane. We had Rob Rader shuffling through at 37.4 seconds down pit lane. That includes the box time of 14.2. Jeremy Burns a little bit quicker down the lane, 37.3, but a little bit more time in the box, 14.4 seconds. Travis Gilbert, though, almost actually a full second and a half slower down pit lane, but meets him right in the middle at a 14-second box. That is...
It wasn't a bad stop for the 22, just lost some time, I guess, probably on pit exit, because he was leading the field down on pit entrance, so just enough for him to lose out to the 53 and the 9. But we've seen the 22 work his way through the field once before tonight, way back at the start of this thing. We'll see if he has the ability to do it again, just as we take a look at these points. Travis Gilbert, very much in a situation where a win would take a lot of stress off his plate. He's got the stage win, which will help him a lot, but the race win would make it a guarantee that he'll be fighting for a championship at Phoenix in a couple of weeks' time. But as they run right now, could potentially lock his way in would be Rob Rader if the results were to hold here. Burns, of course, already locked in, and we've been seeing the slow but steady ascent for the 54 and the 66. Caleb Gilbert needing to get every point he can, and he's running in 7th. It's the best he's been all night. Huge opportunity. The car really behind the 8 ball as they run, though, is Trevor Keith. Multiple laps down, came in tonight below the cut line, and could be leaving very much removed from the cut line.
Very much. Now, as we talk about individual driver points, we might as well talk about how the team points are boiling down. Element X Racing sitting at 8 points. OMT Racing at 10 points. So a little bit of a difference there. Not a whole lot, but talking pre-race with some of these drivers, it definitely seemed like this track really suits the Element X Racing team a lot better. But it's all over the board right now, and at this point, anybody's ball game whenever it comes to the team points with this shuffle. Got about 30 laps to go here. It's going to be an all-out brawl. This will be the last pit stop that we should see. Seen all the other ones right at that 30-lap mark. As we come across the checkered flag, assuming no green-white checkers happen, it'll be about 34 laps roughly on the stint, so it'll be very odd. Let's have to see how it goes.
Yeah, we've seen drivers stretch it that far, but that's been the very outer limit of it. Will there be any fuel-saving concerns for the field? We'll find out in just a second. Pace car makes his way back down pit road. Barney's got that green flag in the air. And potentially the final restart of the night. We are racing once again at Homestead. Rader and Gilbert going to lead him into turn 1. Great launch for Rader. Burns going to slide up in front of Gilbert as well. But not for long. Travis Gilbert cracking down the back bumper of that 53. Only one car separating him from jumping from below the cut line to guaranteed to race for a championship at Phoenix. He's going to be hungry trying to track that down. Meanwhile, for Rob Rader, he came in tonight in a good point situation, but could really put a stamp on it if he holds on to this one. Whoa, big move.
Travis Gilbert just does not want to let go of that top spot. That was a heck of a move by him to get that low side. Sticks it through 3 and 4. He'll have the room to get up ahead. does Jeremy Burns. See Grant Thorpe file in behind both of those drivers. Burns takes a look to the inside, unable to get to that left rear of the 22. All sorts of shuffling back there towards the back as you saw Erhardt get a little bit loose, almost into the side of the 84 of Hudgens. And two drivers we've talked about quite a bit tonight, Carter Lenz, Kyle Diaz, unable to get away from each other at all this entire race.
Yeah, that right there, the battle for 7th on track. But about as high as they've been able to battle with each other all evening long. See Matt Robinson just behind him as well. Diaz, a real big mover tonight, started 26th. He's all the way up to 7th. Meanwhile, this battle for 2nd persists. Jeremy Burns, Travis Gilbert, man, we've seen him have a couple of duels, not only tonight, but all season long, and we're going to get treated to another one here. Travis Gilbert trying to reel in the leader, doing so about a 0.5 of a lap. But he has got a mirror full of Jeremy Burns to deal with in the process. Off of turn 2, Burns going to try and use that high side momentum to get a good run into 3. Looks to the inside. Gilbert going to close it off down to the apron. Burns and Rader, both drivers for Element X's. Burns almost lost it off of 4. You can tell how hard he's pushing it, trying to make this battle for 2nd. And I think he just oversent it a little bit there, cost him a little bit of time. About 25 laps to go here on the on-cue 200. Rob Rader leads by about 0.5 second over Travis Gilbert. Jeremy Burns, Grant Thorpe, James Loveland, your top 5 as they run. Gilbert has been the dominant car tonight, but can he reel in Rader when it matters most? Down the back straightaway once again. That gap now, 4.5 on the 10ths. Now down below 4/10. Just for a fleeting moment. Gilbert is ever so slowly making headway to tracking down the 53. But catching a guy's one thing, making the pass is quite another. Still a good bit of time in this stint, but don't want to dilly-dally too much.
Passing at this track has not been an easy one whatsoever. They might make it look easy on the screen, but I can promise you it is absolutely not. Loveland and Thorpe now side by side. Carter Lenz and Kyle Diaz still battling back there for 7th. Just shuffling all through the back of the field as you see at the top of your screen.
Good little battle here for 4th, Loveland and Thorpe. Loveland going to take that spot away on the high side. And the 02 going to settle in the P4 here ahead of the 77. Back to the low side they go at a point in this race where every position is going to matter just a little bit more, because there's not a whole lot of time to do something about it if you are not running where you'd like to be.
Got a fantastic battle here between the 26 and the 66, and then right behind them, Caleb Gilbert in the 54, Matt Robinson in the 1, side by side. Gilbert does fall in behind Robinson, time being, but takes another look to the inside. Trevor Erhardt right behind them, just waiting for a mistake to happen so he can claim a couple positions. So he looks to the inside now. We'll get to that door. Gonna have the low side on Robinson.
Lenz up high, trying to clear the 26. The big slide, though, from Diaz. Gonna hold on to that spot, at least temporarily. Lenz fighting back to the inside here in 3 and 4. To the apron goes the driver of the 66. two of these two drivers that we're watching battle right now have been two of the hottest drivers in the series since the playoffs have started. Both of them have been running top 10 basically every week since the playoffs have began. The 66-26 going at it right now. This is still the battle for 7th. And as we're keeping an eye on the ticker here, folks, each lap that goes by, Travis Gilbert cuts off about 3 to 4 hundredths of a second, about half a tenth here or there.
Keep an eye on that and jump up there if we see them get much closer, but for the time being, this battle right here for 7th, 8th, and 9th place between Diaz, Gilbert, and Lenz, it's been nothing but heated. Can't take your eyes off of it as the rest of the field in front of them is all single filed out.
Yeah, it's been a phenomenal battle here between Lenz, Gilbert, and Diaz. Lenz trying to run that high side, and I think the tires might be starting to go away just a little bit from the 66 as Gilbert looks to try and slide on by down low. Not going to get the run he needed, though, that time on the inside. Lenz retakes position number 8. Is going to try and hold off the 54. That got dangerously close on the entrance to 1 and 2. Almost a little 3 wide action.
Right behind him, same situation with Erhardt and Robinson.
Lenz now to the back bumper of Kyle Diaz. These two cars just simply cannot get separated. Robinson and Erhardt nose to tail as well. Lot of battles here in the tail end of the top 10 as time is winding down here from Homestead. Watching right now, Carter Lenz trying to track down Kyle Diaz. That is the battle for 7th. Meanwhile, if you want to jump up real quick to this battle for the lead, just to take a quick check-in on it, Travis Gilbert only about 2 car lengths away from Rob Rader and the potential race lead that could punch either one of their tickets to to Phoenix. That gap fluctuating between, about 1.5 tenths to 2.5 tenths a lap. It is really, really close between those two right now, as is this battle between Matt Robinson and Caleb Gilbert.
Look back up front here. Travis Gilbert within that 2/10 area of the back of the 53. Robert Rader. Jeremy Burns not quite in the picture at the moment. But coming around, we'll have about 14 laps to go. Still has time to make up that gap.
Here they go, back down the back straightaway. It looks like the 53 is able to keep a little bit of a gap on the 22 through 1 and 2. It looks like 3 and 4 is where the 22 is able to really make up some of that time again. We'll see if that's the case this time around.
Burns allows James Loveland to get up next to him there for a split second. Loveland does back off. A little bit of a slide there for the 9 machine through 3 and 4. Covered that speed down the front stretch.
Loveland now going to take a peek to the outside of Burns for that final podium spot. Runs about a lane higher than the 9. Gets that exit up to the wall. And will be right on Burns' back bumper as they make their way back to 1 and 2. The multiple grooves here at Homestead really coming into effect here in this final stage. You can see just the kind of momentum differences you can get from running different lanes versus the time separation. If you run low to high, more speed but more time up high, less speed but less time down low. It's creating a very interesting cat and mouse game throughout the field. But tell you what, a good series of corners for the 53. He's opened up that gap over Travis Gilbert back to half a second.
Again, Loveland on the outside of Jeremy Burns. He'll have momentum. He will get to that right rear of Burns this time. He's going to get ahead for the moment. mentioned a couple times before, Alex,
Whoa.
Loveland, the highest placing non-chase driver at the moment.
Almost a little bit of contact between him and Burns there off of 4. The 9 got right up the quarter panel. And last place you want to have a little bit of contact there is on the straightaway, but Loveland able to create a bit of separation. Now Grant Thorpe on the attack, trying to take that spot away from the 9. Burns here fading in the closing couple laps.
Got quite a few fans in the chat rooting for Jeremy Burns here. Very likely not liking what they're seeing on the screen, but still a few laps to go. He does have time to recover as we are inside 10 to go.
10 laps to go here in the on-cue 200. Whoa, Loveland lost it off of turn 2. Gonna lose a ton of momentum. And the spots he just worked so hard to get from Grant Thorpe and Jeremy Burns, he's gonna give him right back. He'll be able to settle back into P5, but that was almost disastrous for the V-Speed machine.
Just a quick look back up front. Rob Rader out to a full second difference between him and Travis Gilbert in the 22. Gilbert still having some connection issues. Don't think that's playing a part with that. But Rader looking to be in a very, very good position to finish this race out.
Yeah, and the only other thought I have at this point is what we were talking about at that last caution, which would there be any concerns for these drivers when it comes to fuel mileage? We know that this run from when they pit should be enough, but it would definitely be close from when they were coming down pit road. I think right now everyone looks to be good to go. He's jumped back to the tail end of the top 10. This slugfest between Lins and Gilbert, Diaz and Robinson, none of this has settled in just yet. You see the 66 currently running P9, has a whole host of cars behind him, including the 19 of Forget, who's back on track, although a number of laps down.
Not the finish Forget was looking for tonight, currently placed in 23rd, but just a few spots behind Carter Lins, sitting in 9th. So he's got the pace, he just didn't have the luck.
He was right around that top 10. So was Orlando Jr. when they came down and had that incident on pit road. Orlando Jr. has been able to recover back to about 13th before Jet 9 laps down. Not going to be the result he was looking for tonight because they both had top 10 pace here tonight. Oh, Lynn's all sorts of holding on to that car off of 4. Got a handful with Trevor Erhardt and Alex Forget there, the 66, lucky to hold on to. Meanwhile, Grant Thorpe might be taking second place away from Travis Gilbert. This is a critical bit of playoff points between two drivers not locked in just yet, and a late surge from the 77 is going to have him clear the 22. I think Travis Gilbert used up the stuff on his tires trying to get around Rader, and when that didn't work, he's just starting to fall back just a little bit.
And not looking great for Travis Gilbert at the moment, but he's close enough to the draft of the 77. He might be able to make a late race move, but I would tend to agree with you that I think his tires are just a little too far gone for that late race move, as Gilbert's still blinking in and out of the picture. Not ideal.
Just about at the end of this one. 4 laps to go. Rob Rader holds a 1.5 second lead over Grant Thorpe, who's trying to hold on to second place here over Travis Gilbert. Thorpe with the top 5 last week, got himself up and above the cut line, and a potential runner-up finish here tonight could do wonders in his hunt to try and advance to the championship 4. It's been a great couple of races for the 77, and he's got quite a few hungry playoff drivers behind him as well, so when it's mattered most, he's gotten up there and taken care of business. He leads 3 more playoff drivers directly behind him as they all tail Rob Rader with 3 to go.
Rob Rader with a commanding lead, almost a second and a half right now. We talked about Travis Gilbert being able to put it on cruise control earlier. Raider now in that same position. All because of that caution that came out way late in the race, about 30 laps ago.
The only naturally occurring one at that for a single car spin for Trevor Erhardt right around lap 100, right around lap 97. Oh, Murphy's in the grass. What is going on here? Justice Murphy in the grass. And I think getting towed back to pit road. He was running in the 5th or 6th position.
Yeah, he was way up there, and I saw his name dropping on the score sheet here, and unfortunately not able to catch what happened, but luckily enough to not bring out a caution. But we are coming around to this white flag race. We are on the final lap, presented by Erhardt Homes. Love where you live. Rob Raider in a fantastic position to finish out this race, exactly where he wants to be. In that #1 spot. This will lock him in to the race at Phoenix in 2 weeks as he exits turn 4. Nice and smooth. Drops way down below, but he takes the win home here at Homestead.
So Rob Raider will punch his ticket to Phoenix with courtesy of this victory here tonight. Grant Thorpe, Travis Gilbert will round out the podium this evening. Burns and Loveland, your top 5. We'll have the full results, obviously, after the race. But for Rob Raider, one of the more quiet wins for him this season was not the dominant car in the early going, but took advantage of a good pit stop to get him that #1 spot on the final restart. And then with the clean air, was just able to drive away. And for Element X, a pretty good day in the team championship as well. Their drivers finishing 1st and 4th. And Caleb Gilbert rallied to a 6th place finish as well. So a great run for all 3 of them. You'll see the field getting stacked up here for the podium photo. Raider, Thorpe, and Travis Gilbert. Caleb Gilbert giving a little tap to his teammate there, Rob Raider.
That does solidify Rob Raider into that Phoenix race as mentioned. Can't be unhappy with that whatsoever. Takes all of the pressure off next week. Can just coast through that race. But official race results and post-race interviews with your top 3 coming up after a short break and a word from our sponsors. Watching the Chapman Environmental Series. You're live on V-Speed. We're after this.
So Chapman's been around for 32, almost 33 years. It's a great company. We've built it from 10 people not all that long ago to 32 people today. We continue to grow. We're hiring people all the time. If there's one thing that I could do, like before my time is up at Chapman, it is making sure that we've built a company that will stand the test of time. And my goal as the current owner of the company, or one of the owners of the company, is to ensure that we can pass the ownership of the organization on to the next generation of people coming up the ranks today. One area of our business where we impact the local communities pretty heavily is the school systems. So we work for school systems all over the northern part of the state of New Jersey. We operate their water systems, their wastewater systems. We do a lot of their permitting and compliance work, and we ensure that the water that the kids drink is clean. We go out and do the sampling to ensure that it's not contaminated. And we also treat the wastewater that's being generated at a lot of these facilities as well before it gets discharged to the environment. So we are supporting the local community through supporting the boards of education and the local school systems.
All About Bugs Tennessee Pest and Termite Control is all about family too. Our family-owned business has successfully been in operation in Sevierville and surrounding areas for almost a decade. Especially during these times, a pest-free home is necessary for a sustainable, disease-free home or business. Our services include residential, rental, commercial, hotel, motel, cabins, you name it. Free quotes and inspections for new customers, and most of our services are contract-free. Our All About Bugs Tennessee family is devoted to delivering the best possible pest control service with a friendly smile. Contact us at 865-453-5574 today.
If it's bugging you, you should be bugging us.
Welcome back, folks, here live on V-Speed post-race coverage, the OnQ 200. It's a fun one here tonight from Homestead, Miami. And when it was all said and done, it was Rob Rader who's going to finish tonight in victory lane. Our winner here, starting from the 12th place position, just ahead of Grant Thorpe. Back-to-back top fives will put him in a pretty good spot points-wise going into Martinsville next week. Travis Gilbert was the dominant car early, just couldn't find it at the end. He'll finish third. Jeremy Burns, last week's winner, will finish fourth. James Loveland in the 0-2, finishing in the 5th position. Caleb Gilbert, a quiet day, but a good points day when it was all said and done. He'll finish 6th in that 54 machine. Matt Robinson in the 7th spot. Carter Linz, another playoff driver, finishing in 8th, with Trevor Erhardt and the pole sitter Tyler Harrison rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, good to see Harrison make that recovery. He was back in the back of the pack for quite a bit of that race after starting on the pole, but that 10th place finish will be a happy note for him after a rough race. But bringing up behind the top 10 in 11th, the driver we didn't talk a whole lot about tonight, pretty quiet for him, Chris Nail in the 88 takes home 11th. Kevin Orlando Jr. in 12th. Brandon Richardson, he takes home 13th. Michael Bennett in 14th. Daniel Holloway, another driver, had a pretty quiet night, up one position into 15th. Christian Bresnok takes home 16th. Devin Hudgens in 17th. Parker Johnston will take home 18th. Kyle Diaz, a little bit of an issue there late race. We saw him battling up there for 7th position with Carter Linz, falls back to 19th. And to round out the top 20, Grant the Toes Turner. Round this out.
And the rest of the field tonight, Justice Murphy was running inside the top 10 with just a couple laps to go, and then something happened to the 12, ended up getting towed back to pit road, and will be a tough 21st place finish for him tonight, as with Trevor Keith, the last driver of this round of 8, to finish tonight 22nd after that incident on pit road with Alex Forget. Forget finishes 23rd this evening. Schaefer 24th in that 23 machine. Dylan Picklesheimer in 25th. Jackson McGeorge in 26th. And Cameron King did not take the green flag this evening. And that will round out our field. And with that, it will lead us to our 3rd place finisher, unless we wanted to do points. What would you like to do next, Logan?
Let's take a quick look at points just to give everybody a
Okay.
rundown after seeing, where the finishing order was. Obviously, Rob Rader was already pretty well up there in the points, but does solidify himself into the championship race tonight with Jeremy Burns. Carter Linz, he'll make some decent points gains tonight, finishing out in that 8th position. He is not as good as Grant Thorpe taking home that 2nd place spot, so they'll switch spots here in the chase for the cup. But those two drivers, they're in a good spot for next week, but they're not solidified as the top two are. Trevor Keith, very, very rough night for him, finishing out in that 22nd spot. Travis Gilbert had a great night. He should gain that position on Trevor Keith, putting him in a better position for next week. Justice Murphy, also a rough night for him, finishing out there in 21st. Caleb Gilbert take home that 6th position. We'll see some shuffling there below the cut line. I don't think any of those drivers will make it above the cut line, having Carter Linz and Grant Thorpe up there in the top 10 tonight. But let's have to see next week how that shuffles out. Take on down to our pit lane here, catch up with our 3rd place finisher, be Travis Gilbert. See if we can get Gilbert up here in the booth.
Getting
There we
sick in that.
go. Travis Gilbert. Got Logan and Alex up here in the V-Speed booth. You got a copy, buddy?
I do. How are you guys doing this afternoon? Well, this evening.
Fantastic, man. That was a great race you put on. Led quite a few laps here tonight. I believe, yeah, there it is. 84 laps. Started out in ninth, made your way up to first for majority of this race, well over half. Man, run me down. What happened there towards the end? We saw you up there, and then we saw you kind of losing some time. Obviously managed to sneak away with this podium finish, but obviously not what you hoped for tonight.
Yeah, what happened is that caution came out. The caution came out, and then going down pit road, I literally, you guys know how iRacing is. If you touch your pit sign, they tell you that you've gone too far, so I had to literally pop it in reverse and back up. So that cost me, it cost me the lead. And once you gave Rob Rada the lead, and Jeremy, he got me loose a few times, dumping air on me. So that burned my rears up. And then for the first time in the run, for the first time throughout the race, my right front got burned up instead of the rears because of, these cars with the dirty air and the diffuser. They're like riding in F1. You ride in that DRS train too long, you burn up your stuff because it's dirty air. There's no clean air. Rob did everything that he could to hit the bottom. Yeah, just really sick to my stomach that caution came out with that huge lead, and pretty much knowing that the race was over at that point, all I had to do is get the white flag.
Well, just do us a favor and maybe don't watch back the broadcast and blame Alex for that. We may or may not have been a little bit of a commentator's curse there on that caution, but again, you still had a fantastic race. You're going to make a decent gain in the points with that, so overall not too bad. But going into Martinsville next week, give me a quick rundown. What's your game plan? How are you feeling?
You got to stay out front. You find yourself in the middle. I mean, Jeremy and Rob are locked in, so they're going to do everything they can to go try to win that race, I'd imagine, to stop one of us from, locking ourselves in and making it a point fight. That's at least what I would do myself. So it sucks that I didn't win here tonight to be able to just go into Martinsville and not have to worry about the chaos. I haven't raced Martinsville in the playoffs in a couple of years because I've been family stuff. This year I'm actually running for a championship. So the plan is just go. I messed up qualifying tonight. I appreciate Tay McDonald for being the calm voice in my ear that I needed to get me back up to the front, and appreciate him and Ray Lane for everything they did to get me prepared for this. However, Martinsville, there's nothing that you can do to prepare. I don't care what you do. You don't know what other people are gonna do. And there's a lot of talk out here already that I've got a target on my name already. So it's cool with that. So I imagine Martinsville is gonna be chaos.
It most likely will, but again, a fantastic race tonight, and you did capture that stage win early in the race, so that'll definitely give you a bump in points with all the laps led. I don't know if they do it based off of that or just one lap as a point. However, they work out with the laps led, additional points. You're looking in a pretty good position going into next week, regardless. But Travis, anybody you'd like to say thanks to before you depart?
Yeah, I got a long list here. First and foremost, I'd like to apologize to Caleb Gilbert for him. He T-boned me at Vegas, and he had nothing to do with it. His championship hits, his championship shot took a big hit with that, and I feel horrible for him, and I'd like to apologize publicly for that. He should have, he had nowhere to go, and I feel horrible. So Gilbert on Gilbert crime, I don't feel horrible. With that being said, I have some really great teammates at Racing for Freedom. Ray Lane and Tay McDonald are not in this league no more. However, they get me prepared every single week. They run my guts out. They pretend like they're Rob Raider, the best version of him that I can get on the racetrack in practice. So they put me through it. They beat and bang on me. They go out. They put me in dirty air. So I really appreciate them. Kyle Diaz, Devin Hudgens, Brandon Richardson. And with that, Vet to Track, I asked everybody to go to vettotrack.org. My buddy Jim Whittam, who I deployed with, he's struggling with that organization to try to help vets. On Sunday, I have a charity grudge match going on with a super speedway league of mine, trying to raise some awareness to the Vet to Track organization. They really are. They helped me out back in 2020 during the COVID stuff, and I've seen what it did with the camaraderie and everything. So I really appreciate him. So if you can, go check out www.vettotrack.org and go support the vets. And I appreciate you guys over at excuse me, at V Speed. You guys do a great job broadcasting, so I look forward to going back and watching. And I appreciate RR for everything they do, giving us a platform. Chapman Environmental Services, All About Bugs, Erhardt Homes, Buttkicker. What is that? Ultimate Siding and Gutters. So everybody that puts something into this, I appreciate it. It's why we're racing so hard. And here we go on to Martinsville. Let's see what we can pull off in the 22.
You absolutely said it best. On to Martinsville. Travis, thank you for your time, and we will see you next week, buddy.
God bless you guys. You guys have a great week until Martinsville.
Travis Gilbert taking home that third place position. Good points day for him. And hopefully be able to pull something out next week. We'll take it down to Alex. Grant Thorpe finishing out in second.
Hey there, Grant. This is Alex and Logan in the booth. You got a copy?
I gotcha.
Well, you've come into the round of 8 really firing on all cylinders, dude. Top 5 last week, runner-up finish this week, including a great run in that final stint to get around a couple of really fast cars in Loveland and in Burns. Talk to us a little bit about the race that was and, kind of the long-run pace that you had. It looked like you had some of the best long-run pace of anyone in the field tonight.
Yeah, I was just really focusing on trying to save my tires and not get loose early on the run and get the rears just heated up just to where I can't get off the corners well. So that was really the biggest focus, just staying married to the bottom the best I could and pick guys one off one or one by one as I was able to.
Yeah, and that seemed to be working for you pretty well. You were able to pick up quite a few spots in that final stint. Is there anything that could have happened for you to track down the 53 tonight, or was second about as far as you were going to be able to get up to?
I was definitely catching him at the end, but I'm not exactly sure he was going 100%. I think he was saving gas and also saving tires a little bit in the event that I did somehow get to him. So I don't know if I was going to be able to get to him on pure pace there at the end and also be able to get by him. Had that caution come out a lap or two sooner, it could have been a little fun fuel mileage race for me, but unfortunately came out a little bit too late. Needed that green flag run to be another lap or two for that one to play out for me.
Unfortunately, but still a good run for you tonight.
Absolutely.
Second place finish, and looking ahead to Martinsville, you have put yourself in a really good position between last week and this week, points wise. Obviously, you're not locked in yet, though. What is going to be the approach going into Martinsville, knowing that you'll be above that cut line, but you are not locked in yet?
I'm gonna really focus on qualifying laps this week. I hope I'm wrong. I have a feeling there's gonna be quite a few cautions next week, so it's really gonna be important to get up front and just survive, and that's really my game plan for next week.
Well, we are excited to see how that turns out for you. It's been fun to watch you this season, especially since these playoffs have started. Anyone you'd like to thank or shout out here tonight?
Just per usual, you guys always do such a great job every week. The admin team for everything they do week in, week out. On cue equipment for stepping in this week. They've sponsored quite a few races for us this back half of the year, so appreciate them as well.
Alrighty. Well, Grant, thank you so much for joining us up here in the booth tonight, and good luck next week at Martinsville.
Appreciate it. Have a good night, guys.
And that was second place finisher Grant Thorpe, which will bring us to tonight's race winner, driver of the 53, Rob Rader. Hey there, Rob. This is Logan and Alex in the booth. You got a copy?
I do.
Well, I'll tell you what. The opening 2/3 of the race didn't seem like we were going to be talking to you on the in victory lane here tonight, but then a good stop on pit road, got the track position, and it was all she wrote from there. Talk to us a little bit about your night, and then the situation on pit road that lets you get that track position that you needed.
Yeah, it was a pretty interesting race, all things considered. It kind of seemed like I mean, don't get me wrong, Travis was crazy fast, but um, it kind of seemed like the leader had a big advantage. Just guys behind the leader in the dirty air just having to use their tires up so much more, and that just kind of becomes a bigger problem as the run goes on. So he kind of ran away with the first 3 quarters of the race, and then Jeremy and I were trying to dissect a little bit of what Travis was doing. We got a little closer, and then at one point there, one of the runs, the clouds came out and the track cooled down, and suddenly Jeremy and I were pretty much running the same pace as Travis. And then sun came back out. I was like, well, that's short lived. So when we came down pit road and I came out, I had Jeremy behind me, and then Travis was third. And we take the green, and the clouds came back out. I was starting to feel pretty good. If I could just hit the mark, stay in front of Travis, feed him the dirty air, hopefully get him to burn his stuff up for the first time all night. And looks like that's what happened at the end. So a little bit. I mean, it was a lot of work tonight to get there, and a little bit of good fortune on pit road. But I will absolutely take it because we're going to Phoenix, baby.
Absolutely. Second driver locked in, along with your Element X teammate there, Jeremy Burns. I got to imagine, with the way the regular season went, this was, not a hard expectation for the two of y'all to set for yourselves to try and make it to Phoenix, but I'd imagine there's a bit of relief that comes with the fact that now that you are both locked in racing for that championship.
Absolutely. I mean, the biggest part of the relief here is going into Martinsville and not having to worry about anything that happens there. It's 2 seasons in a row now. I was able to lock myself in before that race, and thank goodness, because it's going to be complete chaos. And I wouldn't want to be any of the guys who aren't locked in. I mean, anybody can win, anybody can get wrecked. So, obviously making it to the final four is my goal for the year, as somebody who's won a couple of these before. And that was Jeremy's goal at the beginning of the year too. And so it's absolutely fantastic to be locked in a couple races ahead of time. That's takes a lot of weight off your shoulders. It also means once we're done talking here, if I want, I can go and start practicing Phoenix tomorrow. I don't need to care what's going on. But another guy I know has his eye on a Final Four appearance is Caleb Gilbert. He's on the team. We'll be working with him to see what we can do anything we can do to help him get his way into the Final Four as well.
Yeah, I've got to imagine at this point, Element X, the goal is to see if you can get 3 of you guys into the championship 4. But obviously, that'll be a battle for Martinsville next week. You guys looking really good in that potential team championship hunt as well. Overall, pretty banner night for you and the Element X guys, Rob. Anyone you'd like to thank or shout out to celebrate your win this evening?
Yeah, I mean, huge shout out to the team. Caleb was back there battling hard to end up with a pretty good finish today. Exactly what he needed to give himself a shot there at Martinsville. And then shout out to Jeremy. We were kind of working together a little bit there, just to not hold each other up, right? Give ourselves the best opportunity that we had for one of us to go up there and take it to Travis. And without that type of teamwork, I'm not sure if we quite get there today. So big shout out to Jeremy Burns and his entire massive fan base, who makes up probably half of our V-Speed viewers. And speaking of that, shout out to V-Speed. As always, we appreciate you guys. Appreciate you two stepping in here tonight with Morgan not being able to do the broadcast tonight. Appreciate you, Logan. And we'll just go through them here. All About Bugs. Buttkicker gives us an awesome prize at the end of the season. Champion gets a Buttkicker. I got a couple of them. They're pretty rad. If you don't have one, go check it out. Coastal Financial, Erhardt Homes, Ultimate Exterior Lighting. All these people help make it happen for us. And man, I just couldn't be happier right now.
All righty. Well, Rob, congrats on the win tonight.
Oh, wait, timeout. Almost forgot. OnQEquipment.com for sponsoring the race tonight.
There we go.
Big shout out to them.
200 winner, Rob Rader, with the big time shout out just under the wire.
Brought it in just under the wire, man.
Absolutely, Rob. Thanks so much for joining us up here in the booth tonight. Congrats on the win, and we are excited to see you battle for a championship in 2 weeks' time at Phoenix with Jeremy Burns and 2 yet to be named contenders.
Yeah, we'll see you in Phoenix for sure.
All right, have a good one. And that was race winner Rob Rader who punches his ticket to the championship for tonight, courtesy of his win. It's been a fun one here from Homestead in Miami. A little bit of everything, except for maybe a big pileup if someone was tuning in for Carnage. Didn't have a whole lot tonight. Just the one single car spin that brought out the only naturally occurring yellow. Otherwise, it was a pretty lean and green race all the way through. But the one caution that did happen, Logan, really kind of threw this race on its head.
Yeah, it most certainly did, as we saw Gilbert, commanding lead the whole time. That caution really just, I hate to say it, ruined his race. It's racing though, and things like that happen. It has to be expected at some point. But again, that one naturally occurring caution just completely flipped everything on its head. And we saw a hard running 22 fall back, still stuck with the podium, but unfortunately just not the day that he was hoping to have. He really wanted to lock himself in here tonight. Now he's got to turn around and put on another outstanding performance at Martinsville next week. That will be November 6th as the Chapman Environmental Services Cup Series ventures north to Virginia, take on Martinsville Speedway in the last race of the round of 8. At 8:30 p.m. Eastern on V-Speed, we bring you flag-to-flag coverage all season long. This race tonight, again, sponsored by OnQ Equipment. Check them out. That's onqequipment.com. Rob Rader taking home the win in the OnQ 200 tonight. But if you enjoyed tonight's race, be sure to click that like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a single race, as we have more and more content throughout the week. I've been Logan Threlkeld. Alongside me tonight, leading the commentary, Alex Gagnon. You've been watching V-Speed, and as for everybody at V-Speed, Bradley Cooper, Adam Baker, Eddie Smith, our normal producer here in Racing Revolution, Morgan Cook, my co-commentator, Alex Gagnon. Have a great evening. Thank you, and good night.
Here comes Milo, big run out of 4. He's going to be there.
Tristan Martin's there. Cannot count out to 37.
Oh! Cabot, where did he come from? Here comes Zwack.
A punch from the 33.
It's a drag